Loneliness doesn't always arrive with a warning. Sometimes it sneaks in quietly through forgotten routines, closed curtains, or a phone that hasn't rung in days. It's not just about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected from the world around you. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to stay that way. In the next few minutes, I'll share 7 subtle things that often lead to isolation in seniors, and more importantly, how you can gently start to turn them around, one simple change at a time. Have you ever noticed the phone doesn't ring as much these days? Or that the days seem to blend together with fewer visits, fewer conversations, and more silence than you remember? If so, you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not your fault. Isolation isn't always about one big moment. It often starts with small, unnoticed shifts, a change in routine, a bit of hesitation to reach out, or habits that slowly pull us inward. The truth is, many older adults are quietly pushed into loneliness without even realizing it's happening. But the good news? Once you see the patterns, you can start to change them. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're uncovering 7 subtle things that can quietly lead to isolation as we age. These aren't always obvious, but they can slowly chip away at our sense of connection, purpose, and joy. The truth is, many of us fall into these patterns without even realizing it. But once you know what to look for, you can take small, meaningful steps to turn things around. By the end of this video, you'll have the awareness and the tools to reconnect, re-engage, and start thriving again. 1. Cluttered or unwelcoming living space. It may seem harmless, those stacks of old magazines, the extra furniture we no longer use, dim lighting that makes a room feel gloomy instead of cozy. But over time, a cluttered or uninviting living space can start to send a quiet message. This isn't a place for company. And worse, it might even start to convince you that staying home, staying still, and staying silent is easier than facing the mess. For many older adults, clutter accumulates for understandable reasons: sentimental value, decreased energy, or a fear of letting go. But what we don't always realize is that this clutter also takes up emotional space. It can create a subtle sense of stress, heaviness, or embarrassment, feelings we may not talk about, but that we carry every day. You might find yourself hesitating before inviting someone over. Maybe you've said, "Oh, the house isn't ready for guests," more times than you can count. And gradually, visitors stop coming, not because they don't want to, but because they've stopped being asked. Without realizing it, your space becomes more private and less connected to the outside world. And here's the part no one tells you. When a space feels uninviting, it doesn't just keep others out, it can start to keep you in. You lose motivation to go out, to socialize, or to even take small steps like opening the blinds or getting dressed with intention. But the good news? You don't need a full renovation to turn this around. Start small. One corner, one surface, one chair cleared off so someone can sit beside you again. Open the curtains. Let the light in. Add a soft blanket, a lit candle, or a photo that brings you joy. These may seem like small gestures, but they shift the energy of your space. Think of it this way. Your home can either be a place of retreat from life, or a place of welcome for it. When you create a space that feels warm, light, and lived in, not perfect, just welcoming, you begin to invite life back in. Coming up, I'll share the one thing I changed in my living room that brought the conversations, laughter, and visits back, and it took less than 10 minutes. 2. Giving up driving too soon or too late. Mobility isn't just about transportation, it's about freedom, independence, and the ability to stay connected to life beyond our front door. But for many older adults, driving becomes a complex, emotionally charged decision. Maybe you've started to feel nervous behind the wheel. Maybe loved ones have voice concerns. Or maybe you've already given up driving, thinking it was the safest choice. But here's something we don't talk about enough: stopping too early or holding on too long can both lead to isolation. Let's talk about giving it up too soon. You might be physically capable of driving, but stop out of fear. Fear of making a mistake, of getting lost, or of how others perceive older drivers. Those feelings are valid. But when we stop driving prematurely without a plan to stay mobile, our world shrinks fast. Simple joys, like going to the store, seeing a friend, or attending a class, become complicated puzzles. Suddenly, you're waiting for someone else's schedule, or you just stop going altogether. Bit by bit, your independence slips away. On the flip side, there's another truth. Holding onto the wheel too long without support can also isolate us. When driving becomes truly unsafe, it can lead to accidents, fear, and even strained relationships. Loved ones may pull away out of concern, or you may start avoiding the road altogether, further cutting you off from the world around you. So how do you find the balance? Start with an honest check-in. Ask yourself, do I feel confident driving at night? Do I avoid highways or busy intersections? Have I noticed slower reaction times? Have friends or family express concern? If any of these resonate, you don't have to go straight to giving up your keys. There are incredible resources designed just for seniors. Driving refresher courses, like those offered by AARP or local community centers, can help rebuild confidence and teach updated road safety tips. Vision and hearing checks, along with proper rest and reaction time assessments, are also key. And if you decide it's time to hang up the keys, do it with a plan, not in panic. Explore alternatives before you need them. Community senior shuttle services. Ride apps like Uber or Lyft, many now offer senior-friendly options. Volunteer driver programs. Setting up ride routines with friends, neighbors, or family. Explore senior driving programs or ride services before giving up the keys. Staying mobile is about staying engaged. Because when you stay mobile, whether you're behind the wheel or not, you stay connected. You keep showing up to life. You maintain your independence, your confidence, and your social world. Giving up driving doesn't have to mean giving up freedom. With the right tools and mindset, it can simply be a shift in how you move, not whether you move. 3. Relying too much on TV or devices. It usually starts innocently enough. You turn on the TV for some background noise while you make your morning coffee. Maybe you check the news or watch a familiar show. Before you know it, it's lunchtime, and the television is still talking. And in the quiet of the afternoon, you reach for the remote again. Not out of interest, but out of habit, out of comfort. That screen becomes a stand-in for company. And slowly, it becomes your closest companion. Many older adults rely on television, phones, or tablets to fill the silence. And there's no shame in that. We all need distraction, especially during long or lonely days. But when screen time starts replacing real-time connection, it can quietly pull us further into isolation. Not because we're lazy or disinterested, but because it's easy, it's predictable, and it asks nothing of us. The challenge is this: the more we lean on screens, the less we lean into life. Human connection takes effort. It can feel awkward, unpredictable, even exhausting at times. But it's also where laughter lives, where purpose is found, where identity, beyond just being a viewer, still thrives. And while television and digital devices can bring us moments of joy, information, or even nostalgia, they're not a substitute for real engagement. They don't notice when we're feeling down. They don't ask about our day. They don't truly see us. Here's the subtle danger. The more time we spend in front of a screen, the more the outside world starts to fade. You might stop making plans because there's something on tonight. You may find yourself scrolling through your phone for hours, not really engaging, just passing time. And what starts as a break from boredom slowly becomes a lifestyle of quiet, disconnection. But this doesn't mean you have to give up your favorite shows or ditch your phone. Instead, it's about creating boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Try this. Schedule your screen time. Set a timer if you need to. 1 show, 1 hour of browsing, then move. Balance passive time with active time. For every hour spent watching, add 15 minutes of something active, a phone call, a walk, journaling, or reaching out to someone. Swap screen time for connection time. Call a friend while folding laundry. Invite a neighbor for tea. Join a local senior center or interest group. Even turning off the TV and sitting in silence for a few minutes. A day can help you reconnect with your thoughts, your surroundings, and what you actually want from the day. Because while a screen can fill a room, it can't fill your heart. Only connection can do that. So ask yourself, is the screen keeping me company or keeping me from company? The answer might surprise you, but it can also empower you. 4. Lack of routine or purpose. When we retire, when the kids grow up, when daily obligations fade, it can feel like we've earned the right to rest. And that's true. But here's the part no one warns us about. Without a clear reason to get up, get dressed, or step outside, the days don't just feel slower. they start to feel smaller. Time blurs. Morning drifts into evening. You might find yourself wondering what day it is, or feeling like nothing urgent really needs doing. At first, that can feel peaceful, but over time, that peace can quietly turn into stagnation. Because purpose, no matter how big or small, is what gives shape to our days and meaning to our moments. Without it, we may still be alive, but not fully living. You might start skipping meals, staying in pajamas all day, or avoiding the mirror because why bother? There's no meeting to attend, no visitors to expect. And so, the natural rhythms that once gave life structure, work, errands, social events, are gone. In their place, a quiet stillness that can easily become emotional distance. Here's something important. Purpose doesn't have to mean a big project, a grand mission, or a busy calendar. It can be simple, gentle, personal. It just needs to feel meaningful to you. It could be watering your plants every morning, calling a friend every afternoon, writing one page in a journal before bed, taking a daily 10-minute walk at the same time each day, just to move, observe, breathe, and feel part of the world again. Even a 10-minute daily walk or phone call can rebuild routine. The consistency matters more than the length, because what your mind and heart crave isn't busyness, it's rhythm, predictability, a reason to look forward to something. And when we anchor ourselves in small routines, something remarkable happens. Our sense of control comes back. And with that control comes confidence, energy, connection. Here's another powerful shift. Link your routine to others. Join a book club, even if it's online. Volunteer one day a week. Take up a hobby where people gather, like quilting, chess, or gardening. When you give your day a reason, your life starts to stretch outward again. It's okay if you're not sure where to start. Purpose can be rediscovered slowly, gently, but the first step is choosing to act, even in a small way. Because without a sense of purpose, the world tends to grow quiet. But with it, even the smallest task becomes a thread that ties you back to the living fabric of life. So ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do every day, just for me, just to feel alive again? Start there. That's how your next chapter begins, not with a bang, but with intention. 5. Pride around asking for help. For many of us, especially those who've spent a lifetime caring for others, raising families, working hard, solving problems, it's second nature to be the helper, not the one who needs help. So when life starts to shift, when stairs feel steeper, when technology feels confusing, or when we just need a ride or someone to talk to, asking can feel uncomfortable, even shameful. We tell ourselves we don't want to be a burden. We say, they're busy, or I'll figure it out, or simply, I'm fine. But here's the quiet truth. Pride can be isolating. Not the kind of pride that comes from accomplishments, but the kind that whispers, don't show weakness, or you should be able to handle this on your own. When we hold back, when we don't reach out, the world doesn't necessarily push us away, but it stays away. Not because people don't care, but because they assume we don't need anything. Or worse, that we want to be left alone. This leads to silence. Long stretches without phone calls. No offers of help. No invitations. And not because people don't want to support us, but because we've unknowingly trained them not to. Here's the truth. Asking for help isn't weakness. It's connection. It's saying, I trust you enough to let you in. It's reminding people that they matter, that they're still needed, that they're still part of your life. And sometimes, others want to help, but they just don't know how. By opening that door, you're actually strengthening the relationship, not straining it. Up next, the small phrase that makes asking easier and more comfortable. So what can make it easier? Try this phrase. I could use your advice on something. It's gentle, respectful. It honors the other person's insight and opens a conversation instead of a plea. Whether you need a ride, a second set of hands, or just someone to listen, that phrase softens the request and invites connection. Here are a few more variations. Could I borrow your perspective on something? Would you mind helping me think this through? Can I run something by you? These aren't cries for help. They're invitations to connect. And here's another idea. Pre-plan your support. Don't wait until something goes wrong. Set up a regular time with a friend or loved one, a weekly call, a monthly grocery run, or just a check-in over coffee. Making it part of a routine removes the pressure and makes it feel mutual. Because when asking becomes normal, connection becomes natural. The truth is, None of us are meant to go it alone, not in youth, not in midlife, and especially not in our later years. We all need others. And letting someone in doesn't make you less independent. It makes you human. So the next time you're struggling with something, big or small, remember this. You're not a burden. You're a blessing in someone's day. All it takes is a single moment of openness to turn silence into support. 6. Unaddressed hearing loss. It usually doesn't happen overnight. You miss a few words here and there in a conversation. You start turning the TV volume higher. You smile and nod more, not because you agree, but because you don't want to interrupt and ask, "Sorry, could you say that again?" This is how hearing loss quietly pulls us away from the world. Many older adults start to withdraw, not because they don't want company, but because trying to keep up becomes exhausting. It takes energy to strain for every word, to guess at what was said, to pretend you heard something just to avoid embarrassment. And that effort can feel so overwhelming that eventually, it's easier to just stay quiet or stay home. Here's the hard part. Most people don't realize it's happening until their world has already gotten smaller. And yet, hearing loss is incredibly common and incredibly treatable. But pride, fear, or stigma often get in the way. Some people think hearing aids make them look old. Others convince themselves it's not that bad yet. And many are simply afraid of what a hearing test might reveal. But here's what doesn't get said enough. It's not your fault. Hearing changes are a natural part of aging. And ignoring them doesn't preserve your independence. It steals it slowly. Moment by moment, conversation by conversation. Think about it. How many times have you avoided gatherings because group conversations are too hard to follow? How often have you let someone else answer the phone because you're afraid you won't understand the caller? How many joyful moments have passed? Laughter, stories, music, just outside the range of your hearing? Hearing checks are quick, and modern aids are more discreet than ever. It's true. A hearing test can take less than an hour. Many clinics offer free or low-cost screenings. And today's hearing aids are light, nearly invisible, and incredibly advanced. Some even connect to your phone or TV wirelessly. They're tools, not signs of weakness. They're bridges back to the world. But the biggest shift isn't physical. It's emotional. When you hear clearly again, you stop guessing. You stop withdrawing. You rejoin the conversation with confidence. And that alone can rebuild lost connections, restore joy, and help you feel seen again. Because connection isn't just about being present. It's about truly hearing and being heard. So if you've noticed yourself asking what more often, if you've started turning down invitations, if you find yourself feeling left out or mentally checked out during conversations, don't wait. Book a hearing check. Talk to your doctor. Explore your options. It's not a sign of aging. It's a sign of taking control. You deserve to hear the laughter, the music, the voices of people who care. And you deserve to be part of every moment, not just watching from the edge of it. 7. Waiting for others to reach out. We often tell ourselves, if they want to talk, they'll call. Or, I don't want to be a bother. So we wait. A day turns into a week. A week turns into a month. And somewhere in that quiet stretch, something else happens. We begin to believe the silence means we've been forgotten. But here's the truth most people don't say out loud. They're probably thinking the exact same thing. You're not being left behind. They just assume you're doing okay. That if you needed anything, you'd speak up. And meanwhile, you're assuming the same about them. And so, the phone stays silent. The invitations stop. The space between us quietly grows. Loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. It often comes from feeling forgotten and waiting, passively, for connection to come. To us can deepen that feeling more than we realize. But here's the beautiful flip side. You don't have to wait. You can take the lead. Reaching out isn't desperate. It's powerful. It says, I care about this connection. It says, I still have something to say, something to offer, something to share. Too often, we mistake silence for rejection. But more often than not, silence is just life being busy, messy, or distracted. And your call, your message, your I've been thinking about you, can be the exact thing that pulls someone else out of their own isolation too. You don't need a reason to reach out, just an intention. Call a neighbor, send a short note to a friend, invite someone for coffee or a walk. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The moment is now. If you're unsure where to start, try this simple phrase. You popped into my mind. How are you? It's warm. It's honest. And it opens the door without pressure. You may not always get a response. That's okay. What matters is that you showed up. Because staying connected takes effort, but it also creates energy, momentum, purpose. And when you lead the way, others often follow. Ask yourself, who haven't I spoken to in a while? Who used to reach out, but stopped? Who might be waiting on me to make the first move? This isn't about chasing people. It's about choosing connection over quiet. And sometimes, that single call can reopen doors that have been closed for far too long. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not too late. You are a friend, a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a light in someone's life. So don't wait to be invited back in. Be the invitation. A few years ago, I realized I'd gone days without talking to anyone but the cashier at the store. I hadn't noticed how quiet life had become until one day. The silence felt heavy. That was my wake-up call. So I started small. I cleared the clutter from my entryway to feel more open, joined one local group that met monthly, and made a point to call just one friend each week. It wasn't dramatic, but over time, those small choices brought energy, laughter, and connection back into my days. It reminded me, isolation doesn't always crash in. Sometimes, we gently step out of it, one choice at a time. Isolation doesn't always knock loudly. It tiptoes in through quiet routines, unspoken feelings, and days that slowly lose their color. But here's the good news. Connection works the same way. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. One small change, a phone call, a short walk, joining a group, or even saying yes to a coffee invite can start to open your world back up. Bit by bit, moment by moment, life begins to feel full again. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just start somewhere. Because connection isn't about doing more. It's about choosing not to disappear. Which of these 7 signs felt most familiar to you? Let me know in the comments. I read every one and love hearing your stories. Thumbs up if this video gave you a moment of clarity or something to think about. Give it a like to help others find it too. Bell, and don't forget to subscribe to Simplify After 60 for more practical, uplifting advice on living fully, staying connected, and thriving in this next chapter of life.